Good morning, everyone. This is it. The A7R VI is out. There's 3 reasons why I would actually get it. I'm super excited by that camera. The first one, the top one, colors. Auto white balance drastically changed. I'll explain why and how in different circumstances, but before, if you've had experience in like difficult, tricky scenarios, like could be in the woods and parks and stuff where everything comes out too blue, this is fixed. The tones are just magical and almost don't need any editing afterwards, which is incredible. And then the second one, but let's wait for the truck to go by. Second one is going to be for the changed user experience and user interface. What do I mean by that? There's a few small tweaks that are small but very impactful when you're on the field. Could be just that little button here. I'll show you what it does with that little light right there. Really cool. And then last but not least, the rolling shutter is gone. Not fully, but compared to the R5 or RX1 or 3, this is like magical. It's almost something you don't have to consider thanks to the new architecture of the processor and the sensor. So let's dive into the changes right away. Whew, fun part. Okay, let's start with the biggest changes. I would say are maybe on the ergonomics, on everything that is physical in the camera, besides there is a sensor and stuff. But look, now we have this little lamp button right here that illuminates your buttons at the back. You may be thinking, well, great, that's kind of useless. Well, it depends what you shoot. Sometimes at night, it is actually extremely helpful to have that. But what I appreciate with that is the thought of adding it, you know, and thinking of every type of user. And thinking of every type of user, meaning even users who may have difficulty seeing in the dark, especially if you don't have the right lamp, but also feeling the camera. The feel has changed. So even if you can't see too well, with the new buttons and how they feel, you will be able to experience the camera a little differently. So they raised the auto mode right here so that it feels, you can feel it when you're turning. You always know kind of where you are in comparison to the auto mode. So your auto mode is at 6 o'clock, you know that you're in aperture priority, etc. So that's already 2 cool changes, small UX, but honestly makes a big difference. But the biggest one for me is this little bar right there that allows you to feel actually where your lens is supposed to line up with. So instead of having just a white button here, you also have a little mark that's on top and that's actually protruded, so you can feel it with your fingers. And so when you're looking at your camera from the top, which happens a lot, well, you don't need to guess anymore. You can actually line the bar with the dot and click. That's it. It's done in 2 seconds. I find that maybe not like drastically different for you, but honestly, for me, it makes a difference, especially when you're like in a rush or in difficult places or conditions and you need to change that lens. Honestly, sometimes having to look and turn was more of a pain, and now it definitely feels a little easier. Again, small changes, but very impactful. The EVF changed. The electronic viewfinder is now, well, how can I say it? It's like looking at everything in HD. So it's a 10-bit screen in there now where you can see high dynamic range. You can set it in auto or completely off. And honestly, on paper, they say it's 3 times brighter than the A7R V. I don't know what 3 times brighter means, but when I look into it, it really looks bright, rich, with a lot of contrast and depth, to the point where I will look at the back screen and be like, oh, maybe this is a little overexposed. Then I look into here and then I can see a lot more dynamic range and I can tell that it's not overexposed and I still have information in my highlights. Honestly, when you're shooting and when you're on the field, it is great to be able to have that experience looking through the viewfinder. What has changed physically? I wrote them down because there's quite a bit. Here we have a little tally lamp that allows you to see when you're recording. It flashes or it turns on red, so you can see it from the front of the camera and the back of the camera. Okay, helpful, not huge for me, I will admit that. And we have 2 little sensors, one for visible light and one for infrared, which will have a big impact on the colors we're gonna talk about in a second, and you'll see the side-by-side, it's day and night differences between previous models and this one. While we were talking about the camera modes, we also have a new camera mode. It's the little star, so instead of having custom 1, 2, 3, we have 1, 2 star, and that star can then be set to whichever you prefer. You can have like up to 10 options. So instead of being fix on 3, on 1, you can have that star that opens you up to like 10 more modes that you can use independently. Pretty neat. Again, more customization possible. And a big change also that will surprise maybe many is a new battery. Finally, Sony, after 10 years, or maybe 9 years, has decided to change the NPF Z100. This battery has higher capacity, also has an ability to have the battery health information in camera. So if you think about it, future-proofing the battery is important, having more capacity. One of the engineers was explaining, by having more capacity, we can draw more from it without affecting the battery lifespan, which is important for those newer camera. More processing means also more battery usage, more power consumption. I've used it on the field and the battery life has been great. I've shot a whole entire afternoon with a 100 to 400 in autofocus, and the battery after maybe 4-hour shoot was only at 61%. So I still had tons of shots left. The next day I went out shooting again, probably shot another 1,000 photo, came home at the end of the day and the battery was at 41%. So battery life is not an issue. It's great, it's improved. Now it may be a little bit of a downside if you have an ecosystem with the previous batteries. You're gonna have to go through a little painful transition to change and update your batteries. But honestly, if you think about it long term, it's probably something better, especially if these are gonna last another 10 to 15 years. With the future cameras. And something I didn't mention because I didn't feel it drastically, but Sony wanted to say it, the grip has been a little bit refined. I don't know if you can see, I think it's that groove mainly. It feels good in hand. I can hold it with one hand, there's one finger, sorry, my one finger test works well. When I have a lens on, the grip has changed, but I can't tell that this is day and night difference between what was before and what is now. We still have that flip screen and tilt screen, so all directions, very helpful. In terms of connections, we have now, like on the A7R VI, 2 USB-C ports, and then we have the in-out microphone and audio, and we have a full-size HDMI, and we have the cable here connection for the flash. In terms of memory cards, 2 CF Type A or 2 SD cards right there present, just like on the previous model. Still something we love and that we appreciate. The Hot Command also has digital connection also, so you can use the latest microphone and you can record in digital or even sometime with 30-bit float if you use some of the accessories. Anyway, it's standard on all the Sony cameras nowadays, so no need to expand on it. Now, the day and night difference is going to be on the performances of the camera. And let me show you a few examples right away. But before we get into the performances, have you insured your gear? If you get a new camera, make sure you get gear insurance in order to cover yourself in case of damage or anything. And for that, our sponsor of the day, PPA, can help you. PPA stands for Professional Photographers of America, and it's a company that provides equipment coverage that protects your gear, whether it's stolen, damaged, or lost. And it goes beyond just replacing your camera. They also provide legal support, copyright protection, education, and even help with data recovery if your memory cards are compromised. Through PPA, you can get up to $15,000 of gear insurance, $50 flat deductible for equipment repairs, and $350 deductible for full replacements of equipment lost. Make sure if you have a drone that you add the drone policy, get $25 off your first year with PPA and get on the field with peace of mind. Now look at these photos I took with this camera, and please, if you don't know me, my name is Pierre-T Lambert. Welcome here. I'm a travel adventure photographer and the creator of the 30-Day Adventure to Great Photo, a step-by-step method for training you to take better photos no matter what kind of gear you're using. The goal is for you to be proud of your photos, has worked for thousands of students around the world. Join the link in the description before you buy a new camera if you want to improve without having to spend thousands into the next camera. Honestly, new cameras are great, but they won't change your skills, so invest in your skills first and then your camera. Okay, that's it. Performance-wise, let's talk about the autofocus. Autofocus has been improved and it locks in on the subjects really well. What I really noticed, and let's be honest, this is on the field review, what I really noticed is that it picked up people a lot faster. Like the subject detection when you have small faces far in the distance is incredible. Also with the 100 to 400, I had the subject detection autofocus on, and it's weird to say, but the camera and lens would pick up the subject before I was able to track them sometimes. Why? Because I had people in the cars, there were people in backlit and in difficult conditions where I was like, is this the face here yet, or is this a reflection? And the camera had picked it up way before me. So when I say way before, we're talking milliseconds, but it does make a difference when you're shooting on the field, when you're shooting action, where you need to be a little fast. Now, little trick, and I'll share a video where I talk about the settings that you need to change for this one, but you may want to change the hitbox for human because I find that it's a little wide. But watch my other video with the Sony settings where I go in depth about it. I want to talk about the colors again and the auto white balance, because this is something that really made me think, oh, I want to change camera. I want to get this camera. I went to shoot in the woods and in like small woods, let's say in the park here in Japan with a model. And it was a great shoot. And what I noticed instantly is that the colors at the back of the camera were exactly how I wanted them to be, which never ever happened with any other camera before. And I'm putting you side by side with the A7R VI, for example, or any other camera. Your tones will come out way cooler on previous models. But now, and Sony says it's thanks to the infrared and visible light sensors, which also exist on the A7S III, you get better reproduction of auto white balance, and it's warmer. It's much warmer and the colors look great. All right, so we're comparing side by side. On the left we have the A7R VI and on the right we have the A7R VI. For me, this comes out a little cooler on that side than on this side, where it's a little warmer overall on the image. And I think we can notice that especially on that one. Just know those are not the same lenses used on those shots, but you can tell, you see like how this is warmer than this one. So basically I felt that I was getting color rendition that was more consistent on the A7R VI, especially in those areas, than on the A7R VI. Here it performed fairly similar. Even if we look in the background, it's almost the same. Here is the same lens. You see the colors in terms of white balance, it's kind of the same. But what I really noticed was that consistency in how I would get the colors and the accuracy with that scene. So I didn't have to tweak as much as I would normally. And I think those two examples shows it really well. And also these photos kind of show it to me well, because I don't remember having that white balance in those colors come up in 4S before. And I'm really happy with the results here. For me, that's something that saves you a lot of time on workflow. And when you upgrade camera, this can be something that is worth it, because anytime that you save by just being on the field and shooting, that you save in post-production, is times that you can spend more shooting or with your family or growing your business if you have a business. So yes, amazing. And by now you're probably wondering, why have I not talked about the new sensor? And one of the reasons I haven't talked about the new sensor is that, yes, it does make a difference. We're going from 61 megapixel to something like 66.8, and camera, it's a 66 megapixels. So we'll go with that. But honestly, it's not that much of a difference, because 66 megapixel versus 61 is not night and day for me. But what is that it's a fully stacked sensor, and now we have way less rolling shutter. The improvement that was made in camera was that it actually records faster information, right? So you have less of that electronic shutter problem where you have jello happening. You can see that example from my RX103 where it's absolutely horrible. In this camera, I tested it and it was great. On the A7R VI, it is amazing. So I would say this is not really an issue anymore, unless you're doing high-speed sports, unless you're doing high-speed action. Then yes, you want to consider a camera like a 9.3 with a global shutter, or a A1.2 that still has faster readout speed. But not an issue, and now you get 30 frames per second in burst with pre-capture. So you're like, wait, what's happening to Sony cameras? Why are they getting so good? Why are they giving us everything? High megapixel count, pre-capture, less rolling shutter. What else do you want? If you're wondering about the burst, 30 frames per second, yes, but you kept at 150 raw because those files are huge, and 250 JPEG about. Honestly, this camera is incredible in its own way. I find new colors, etc., that I hope will be, by the way, updated on other cameras. It would be really cool if that's possible, even without all the sensors. But I'm kind of hoping that this will happen. And let me know in the comment if you think those changes are welcome, or if it's a little overkill, or now you're more confused than ever because you're like, all those cameras have similar functions, I don't know which one to choose. So the high ISO has been improved. Also, I don't see a drastic difference per se, but yes, you can tell. But also we have 16 stops of dynamic range now, which really is cool. And you have the dynamic range optimization mode that is especially helpful for JPEG or HIF that has been pushed to level 8. So you can really push the sensor further. And in Imaging Edge, there is even a special mode where you can increase the resolution of your raw files. I haven't got to play with it yet, so I can't tell you more about it, but on paper, it just sounded a little bit exciting. I think this is a camera that actually can now touch wildlife photography, whereas the A7R V, I definitely wouldn't have recommended it for wildlife photography. But now, yes, and the fact that you can crop in that far can help you save money on giant lenses too. But you can maybe watch my video on the 100 to 400 because this is such a great lens also that came out. I'm just happy Sony is catching up and releasing great updates. Last but not least, IBIS has been a little bit improved. I've been able to shoot at 4 seconds handheld at about 55mm without lens stabilization, anything, just with in-body camera stabilization. 3.2 seconds, no problem. 2.5 seconds, no problem. So it's clearly better than the A7R V, which I wasn't able to do that with. In my opinion, it makes it really cool because here, for example, in Japan, or many places in the world, the moment you get a tripod out, you have security coming to you. So that means, hey, you can take 2-second shots handheld without having to worry about needing a tripod. Honestly, what else do you want? Last but not least, video. I'm not a video guy, but we have 8K 24 and 30 frames per second, 4K 120, 60, 30, etc. It's 10-bit 422 as usual. We have a new dual gain function. Honestly, if you're looking at the camera for video, this may not be the camera I would recommend first, because remember, the readout speed will be slower than other video-oriented cameras, but this is a good option and you can record in 8K if you want to. So if you have more like static shots and not too much of a run and gun camera, this could also work out fine in your favor. So who is this camera for? This may be a little weird and unpopular, but I think this camera is going to be almost for everyone, except those who want high speed action shoots and really need that no rolling shutter at all. Like, then go for a 9.3 or maybe an A1 if you still need speed and high megapixels. But honestly, everyone else is gonna make people happy. And I will say, if you've ever struggled with some UI or UX from Sony where you needed some improvements, this has been improved. And if the colors has been something that was bothering you and the white balance, wow, big change. So if you were in the scenarios where you're like, it's too cool, it's too cool, it's too blue, and you don't like it, yes, consider it. I personally am considering this upgrade, or maybe I should wait for A7R II to have something more compact, but I love what they've done with this camera and the direction they're going right now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you considering getting one or not? Now remember, this won't make you shoot more, it won't make you shoot better, but it will change your experience of shooting. But what really will change what your photos look like are your skills and how you basically invest in your skills. So join a course or grab my free photography cheat sheet with settings to take on the field, and watch this video to nail your autofocus. Watch this one to understand which settings to use for Sony. And with that being said, get out there, go shoot, try something different, try something new. I'll see you in the next one. I'm going back out to shoot.